Hey everyone, I just want to talk this week about friendships. I don't exactly know the where this might go, but I think it's an important thing because we're all in them, uh, and we all need them because we're people, and you know, we need other people in our lives. So I think it's just sort of worth talking through what it means for you, and then of course, because lessons from the heart, what our experiences of those been, so that you can reflect upon it for yourself. I think for me, friendships always, until I recognized it, I always came from a place of lack, in the sense that I was always one of those people, even when I was younger in high school, that floated between groups and never felt like I really belonged in a crowd. And I think when being someone like that, it created within me a sense of that not being right and that I wasn't really accepted. And then that sort of came forward all the way through into my life in many different ways. And why I think it's worth me knowing about that is because it came to a point where it crossed my own boundaries, where I recognized I was doing a lot of things just to sort of, it felt like people pleasing, but really what I was trying to do was establish a relationship with someone where with inside I didn't actually really want to do them. And so that has been a real sort of tension in my life. I think not trying, I shouldn't use the word trying, but I think I'm finding an answer to that at peace with that. So yeah, what do you?
Yeah, so just while you were talking there, I was thinking back. I still have high school friends, and I still see them sometimes when I
Me
go
too.
back to South Africa, and other times. Two of them now have daughters over in Sydney, so that's an extra bonus. Um, but what you're talking about with the group things, I told you a story a little earlier about through high school and university. I had a core group of friends, really close friends, small groups, and then a much wider group of friends in the looser term that I played a lot of sport with in a lot of different sports. And that's continued throughout my life. It still continues now. But I've started to realize over the years, because I've, like you, at times felt like I wasn't quite fitting in with certain groups. And the more that I learn about myself, the more I understand what it is that doesn't fit. And it comes back to the whole friendship thing, in that some of the times people have quite not, I wouldn't say narrow, but a structured way of, or a way that they look at what a friendship is. You don't challenge me, you don't ask the hard questions, we don't have the heavy conversations, right? And that's breaking down for me over the last, particularly over the last 3 years. I'm having those conversations with people that I am friends with, and in a lot of ways I've been surprised by some of the responses to those conversations. And have asked and have had people challenge me back. And I'm so cool with that. It's really it's a good way to learn. So yeah, friendships are, and they come and go as well.
Absolutely,
they come and go.
Really good
and sometimes they hurt when they're gone.
Well, I think they come and go. So a couple of things I would add to that. One is I think they come and go because either the other person evolves or you evolve into a different place, and your values and beliefs can be different. So sometimes that can clash, like you've found, or sometimes you can just sort of move apart because you're not sort of vibing the same way. I don't know how to say that. And then the other thing is, I think what we were talking about before, which was that it's really important if you want to create relationships in your life, first look at how inclusive you are in friendship towards other people. So we're talking before about acceptance of people, and we are all insanely unique. We're all completely different. So the whole idea that a group should have a group norm, like a conformity, is kind of ridiculous in a way, because it's this bizarre thing we do as human beings where we want our group to conform to like a set what the group's values are, almost, right? Like which are the group norms. And that can never really happen because we've all come from, you come from South Africa, we've all come from different places. So it's really just, for me, it just comes back to your heart. Like, are you open?
Yeah, absolutely.
To all different people.
Yeah.
In your friendships.
That's right. Yeah. And that strengthens the friendships. And there's been occasions where I've had people challenging me and have had different values that I've then learned to stay in the conversation with that. That's really
courage,
powerful. Yeah,
and it is very powerful.
Yeah, it is. It's work. It takes courage. It takes compassion. It takes a whole bunch of things. And in some cases they've worked really well. In other cases they haven't. And in the cases where it hasn't worked,
I think that's how you work it out.
Yeah. And then, but in the cases that it hasn't worked, that's when the letting go, the surrendering to what's happening, to let those friendships, go. They've run their course, and it's not easy. There's lots of times you feel hurt about certain ways that people treated you or ghosted you or whatever. But the more, like you say, that you take it internal and you build yourself. You love yourself, you forgive yourself for things that you may or may not have done, and you have the compassion for yourself as well. Then you're starting to really be more open. That's we talk sometimes about vibrations and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
you go to another level.
You do.
Yeah,
and I think if the ask I made of you earlier, well, the ask I probably made of myself, which was being more accepting of difference and uniqueness in how we establish relationship. The way that you do that is through being open and accepting and loving to yourself. And so the path to the outer is always through the inner. We talk about it all the time, but when it comes to friendship, it's about doing that for yourself. Speaking of friendships, that's that's one of Kevin's friends. Right? Anything else you want to say finally? Then
I just want to touch back on and that phone call. My phone should be off. I know, but it's thrown me a little bit. But we were talking about. I was when you were talking about when friends either leave or challenge you or whatever. And you talked about being open, but it's also it's open to what's going on, but also open to feedback. That's a really important part, because if you're open to that, you're not coming from a defensive position. You're just being open to what other people are saying, and then it also allows you to be a little bit more compassionate or caring about how you would give feedback to other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of friendship groups don't go there. They stay a little bit shallower.
I agree. And then one final thing I think is what you touched on, which is sometimes people they move out of your friendship group. And I actually think if you're congruent with yourself and it's a no for a person, and you follow that, it does make room for new people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like it does create, because that is a strength.
Yeah.
To be able to say, no, that's not right for me. And then it opens room for the people that are right for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I use that same thought around business. If I lose a client, it's a loss, but I'm open now to other opportunities.
What is even better for me?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I hope that's been useful, and apply it to your own friendships and thinking about friendships. It's a really important part of life, and use it, think about it, feel it, and go off and create the friendships you need.
What if they did?
He's
downstairs.